One might surprise you to learn the country's oldest goldfish hatchery started right here in Indiana. By the early 1940s, Grassyfork Fisheries had turned the city of Martinsville into the goldfish capital of the world. Mitch Legan dives into the city's history of goldfish farming and how that legacy continues today.
It was on a crew that would get the fish out of the ponds. You know, we wore hip boots. We got down in the ponds.
Art Brill still remembers the first time he was put on goldfish duty at Grassyfork Fisheries. It was the spring of 1950, and Brill had moved to Indiana to continue his education. Early mornings at Grassyfork helped pave the way.
You would dip out the goldfish with large dippers, and then you carried them.
Now Brill's 92, and he still lives in Martinsville. But he says the town is slowly forgetting one of its most unique historical aspects.
Not far from Martinsville, Indiana, is Grassyfork, once but waste marsh, but developed by Eugene C. Shireman into the largest goldfish farm in the world. 40 years ago he began, and now...
Grassyfork Fisheries was founded in 1899 after Eugene Shireman inherited farmland that wasn't very good for farming.
First they're fed powdered egg yolks, and then wheat flour, and finally cornmeal.
Former Morgan County historian Joanne Stutchen says it was too wet and swampy for crops.
I'm sure he thought, oh, great deal. I've just won, I've just been inherited a white elephant. But Eugene had been to the World's Fair in Chicago in 1893.
There, goldfish were on exhibit from the east, and Shireman hadn't forgotten their dazzling displays. The land already had some ponds for game fish, so Shireman decided to give goldfish a try.
I read that the first 200 or 250 goldfish quickly died. So he then had to learn how to raise goldfish. But through trial and error and through talking with people, he eventually figured out how to raise goldfish.
Legend has it that Grassyfork's big break came when an Indianapolis businessman wanted to increase his soap powder sales, so he suggested including a pet goldfish with any purchase. The idea was a hit, and business continued growing. By the late 1930s, Grassyfork was producing an estimated 75% of all commercial goldfish.
As the net comes up, life for the fish becomes a golden shimmer, and the Indiana farm a gold mine.
They would have sold them to Woolworths and Kresge's and Murphy's and, all of the big chains. It was very popular to have a goldfish pond in your backyard, even more so than today.
When Art Brill arrived in 1950, Martinsville had established itself the goldfish capital of the world. The Grassyfork showroom had become a tourist destination, and complimentary businesses popped up around Martinsville, offering pet supplies, accessories, aquariums.
It was the largest employer in 1950 in the county. Every day there were trucks coming in here hauling fish out. So in 53 it was still going gangbusters.
By the 1960s, Grassyfork was on the downslope. Eugene Shireman had died, and changes to state highways diverted traffic away from the showroom. Missouri-based Ozark Fisheries purchased the farm in 1970. Joe Cleveland is now the fourth generation of his family to run it.
And so we'll offload a truck that can drive straight down the middle of this building and offload these fish into these tanks.
The location spans 255 ponds, where 8 varieties of fish are produced. The farm has added koi as an option and can produce up to 150 million fish in a year.
So she's sorting through a variety of what we're calling just common goldfish. And she's picking out maybe some of the all white or all black.
New competitors have entered the market, and demand for the fish isn't what it once was. Ozark's Martinsville location has 10 employees now. But Grassyfork's impact on the American goldfish industry still continues.
We aren't the only goldfish producers in the United States. There's a good chance that if you grew up in the Midwest, your goldfish came from Grassyfork or Ozark.
Brill's hoping one day Grassyfork's legacy will be commemorated in some official way, either through a sign or historical marker of sorts. For him, this fish story is worth remembering.
I hate to see it passing, but Joe and the Ozark group, I think, will keep it alive as long as there's a market for goldfish. You know, how long are people going to want to have little bowls in their house and goldfish swimming around? It's, you know, things pass, niches pass.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Mitch Legan.
The Martinsville goldfish are shipped throughout the country and in Canada.